ever have those days where your energy crashes, your focus is nowhere to be found, and productivity feels impossible? Yeah, me too. Running on empty, struggling with motivation, and feeling totally burnt out, it is the absolute worst. That's why I use Alter Nutraceuticals. These supplements have been a lifesaver for me on days when I just don't have it in me. They help boost focus, productivity, and fat burning while supporting weight management and cognitive health. And the best part, it's all natural energy. No jitters, no crashes, just real results. If you're ready to finally feel in control of your energy and performance, head to alternutraceuticals.com and make sure to use the code GOALPRENEUR for 10% off your order. Trust me, your future self will thank you.
You're listening to the Goalpreneur podcast with Courtney Spaeth, the go-to place for ambitious and driven female entrepreneurs looking to elevate their business and life. Each episode is packed with actionable insights to help you dream bigger, think bolder, and achieve your next level of success. No playing small here, only strategies and encouragement to help you shine. And now, here's your host, educator, personal development enthusiast, and holistic esthetician, Courtney Spaeth.
Hey Goalpreneurs, it's Courtney Spaeth, and today I am not only live streaming on YouTube, but we're also trying this out live on Facebook as well. So if you do have any questions during this episode, just put them in the comment. We'll get to them. But I'm going to introduce my very fabulous guest. It's Aderet Hoch, and she is a registered dietitian and nutritionist. Aderet, thank you so much for being here on the Goalpreneur podcast. Oh, looks like...
Sorry. I don't know what happened.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Okay. So Aderet Hoch, you're a registered dietitian and nutritionist. Thank you so much for being on the Goalpreneur podcast and talking with us today.
Yeah, Courtney, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here. To quickly introduce myself to everyone, hi, I'm Aderet. I'm a dietitian. I'm from New York. I'm currently based in Tel Aviv, Israel, where I sometimes spend time running my private practice from here as well as in the States. I work with women from fertility through family life. We take a holistic, sustainable approach to nutrition care. I work one-on-one. And it's all virtual. So that's kind of a little summary of me.
That's awesome. So what brought you to Israel so you're living in New York. What's in Israel?
So I was born and raised in New York. I went to school there, went to college, grad school, everything. I have a lot of family here in Israel. And I spent most of my childhood like coming here for summers or vacations or holidays or whatever it is to be with family. And when I got older and I kind of finished everything and settled in my career, and I just was like, this is where I want to spend some more time. And so I now spend some of my time, or I should say most of my time, over here. And then I do still have family in New York, so I make my way back there a lot as well. So I would say I'm like a little bit in two places. But yeah, so...
Oh my gosh, that is awesome. And it's great that you still have family there and you're able to still do your work halfway across the globe. I think that's amazing.
I know. It's really, I think it's incredible. Every day I feel so fortunate that I'm able to kind of have this flexibility of being able to be with my family that's in two different places. And be able to like still run my business and my practice and help people and do all the things that I do. It's really a gift. And I'm very, very, very feel very grateful.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to jump right into it. So I want to talk about GLP-1 because what you and I were just talking about before I hit record was now I'm seeing that over-the-counter medication now available in like Walgreens and Publix, our grocery store. So it's not something that needs to be prescribed from a doctor, correct?
So the GLP-1 drugs that I'm familiar with I'm not sure what you were seeing in the grocery store, and you can share some more like what exactly you were seeing, maybe some titles. The ones that I know and the ones that I manage with my patients are usually ones that are prescribed by doctors. And they are the GLP-1 medications. The names people probably are familiar with are things like Ozempic and Wegovy and Manjaro and Zepbound. Those are the names that are floating around in the media.
Mm-hmm.
And these weight loss medications originated as diabetes medications. They were meant for helping manage blood sugar control. And one of the side effects or whatever, just symptom, whatever you want to call it, of the medication is weight loss and reduced appetite. And so it kind of became popular and shifted into becoming a medication that was prescribed specifically for weight loss, not just for type 2 diabetes, and also put on the market as weight loss medications. And this really shifted the whole weight loss world. It's shifted the food industry. It's really had such I consider, those like the butterfly effect type of thing, where it's just like, it has really had such an impact on so many things. And I know specifically in my field as a dietitian, there's just so much conversation around, if you don't know how to manage patients on this medication, you're going to fall behind in the field, and you have to learn because it is becoming almost a first line of defense in health.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you're working with clients that are on these medications, what is the downfall? Like I think I've read with this type of medication that it eats away at the muscle, or you have greater muscle loss the longer you're on the medication. Is that right?
So the medication to just kind of give a quick summary, not to get too clinical with it, it mimics a hormone called glucagon peptide 1, which is one of our digestive hormones that helps us digest our food. And by mimicking this hormone, what it does is it ends up reducing our appetite. It ends up slowing our digestive system down, and it helps improve our blood sugar control as a result. And so with all, amongst other many other effects of the medication, but those are the main ones. And as a result of these actions of the medication, these mechanisms of action of the medication, we end up losing weight quickly. Some people struggle to lose weight on the medications. It's not a fine. I've had patients who are on the medication, they don't lose weight that quickly, or they don't reach their goal weight or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. But as part of losing weight quickly, there are side effects to that. I know it sounds really amazing to say I lost 100 pounds in 2 months. That sounds really, really cool. But there's a balance in nature always. Losing weight really, really quickly, whether on a medication or not, doesn't matter, has health implications. It's why we pace losing weight. When you work with a dietitian will say, or even if you just go on MyFitnessPal, you'll see they'll ask you, how many pounds per week do you want to lose? There's a reason for pace. And so when you lose weight quickly, which can be a side effect of the medication, there are health implications. And sometimes that means losing muscle mass. Yeah.
Gosh, that's so scary, especially the older we get. Like we lose it anyway, so we need to preserve as much as possible. But do you feel like people are using these medications now as a quick fix versus like a lifestyle change?
Yeah, it's such a good question. I think because the way I know that it's still kind of gate kept through insurance and through your doctor, I don't know if it's really, if you can afford it out of pocket and you can afford to just buy the medication, you can obviously use it in more of like however you want. But for most people, that's not the case. And so because it's a little gate kept by doctors and insurance, I don't know if it has yet or will ever explode to the point of like just this like the quick fix, because it's not that quick, so to speak. But I do see that people who are on the medication do get complacent with it, where it's like, okay, well, I am seeing the results that I wanted, and I can eat. When I eat, your appetite is very reduced. So you're not exactly like running to, eat pounds and pounds of food and still lose weight. You're not really interested in it the way you were before. And so, you are seeing this kind of complacency with it. Well, the medication's doing the work, so I don't really need to. And in that sense, I do see a mindset of a quote unquote quick fix.
Okay. What about like when you're working with people clients, what are you suggesting if they don't want to give up that medication because they are seeing such a great uh return, lack of a better
Yeah.
word, return,
Return.
like they're
Yeah.
getting the results that they
Yeah.
wanted with this medication that they have not gotten before. So
Yeah.
they're like, I'm on a total roll. I'm not giving this up. But what else are you suggesting for people that are wanting to lose the weight? They're on this medication and not really wanting to change their lifestyle too much, too crazy?
Yeah. That's a really good question. First of all, I think that is a responsibility of doctors to make sure that anybody who chooses to go on this medication should also be working with a dietitian. That I think that should be part of it's. I mean, it's not a requirement, but in my my biased opinion, it should be.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's important to remember that nothing works alone. When I talk to my patients about it, I talk it like it's a team player. It's not the team. We don't weight loss, for the sake of just being really simplistic about it, doesn't happen, just magically from one solution. Especially since the medication is not a forever solution.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like the amount of time you'll be on it, and eventually at some point you're not going to want to be on it anymore. You can't be on it anymore, and you're going to want to have built healthy habits in the background. And lifestyle really does make a difference. It doesn't, like, the medication is only going to do so much for you. A lot of the talk around the medication that, the chatter is around how it reduces food noise. And this is like a really trendy term. Even dietitians are using it. I'm going to explain in 1 second what it is.
Thank you.
And it's really like, it's like gotten really hot to use this term. And like, I didn't hear it until my patients were saying it to me. And then I was seeing it in dietitian groups and I'm like, oh, okay, I get what the term is saying. And I'll explain in 1 second. It's really interesting that this is a term. So there's this term now running around called food noise, which is basically to say that like, I'm thinking about food all the time and I have no control. It's just my intrusive thoughts all the time telling me to eat, telling me like, oh, there's McDonald's right there. I have to go in there and eat it. There's a donut. My coworker brought in donuts. I have to eat them, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's just this like intrusive thoughts and noise around food all the time, and can't think about anything else. And it feels like you have no control, and the food is controlling you. And one of the effects of the medication that people say is like the food noise either goes away or is extremely quiet all of a sudden. And I don't know how people are like really talking about this from like a behavioral science perspective or anything like that. I haven't heard much on it. I really just hear it through anecdotal stuff. But this effect, people are like, very fearful when I'm off the medication. How am I going to manage this food noise that's going to come back? And like kind of really, and I say that's part of the work that we can be doing right now. We can really get into the depths of where's that food noise coming from and what is it exactly? And since you can clearly feel the difference between when you're on the medication and you don't have it versus when you're off the medication and you do have it, there's clearly work that can be done here. And I think that conversation becomes really, really important when I'm managing somebody on the medication.
Okay. Food noise. That's another term that I'm hearing it for the first time. Haven't heard of that before. But I feel like each week or each month, there's a new term that's coming out, or a new fad diet, or a new way to do something, or to lose 20 pounds, or, whatever it is. But I have been reading more and more about these types of medications. And it needs to be that lifestyle shift, that mindset shift, because if you don't fix that, it doesn't matter what you're on, the weight's just going to come right back. Because like you said, you can't stay on it forever. At some point, you do need to wean yourself off. But if that mindset hasn't shifted, if your lifestyle hasn't shifted, you're back to square one. And then it's like a vicious cycle. You just can't stop that cycle until you shift the mindset. So let's talk about another hot topic here. Gluten.
Gluten.
I went gluten-free for the most part. I do have a little bit just here and there, which I learned gluten, that inflammation can stay in your system for up to 6 months.
Yeah.
I didn't think that long. I was
Yeah.
thinking, okay, maybe if I stop it, it's good for about 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever, but not 6 months. So let's talk about gluten. What the changes are now versus how wheat was like 50, 60, 70 years ago, because it's definitely changed.
So I'll say overall, you can say that about our entire food industry. Our entire food industry is nothing what it once was. We are mass producing on levels that I don't think our system ever thought it was going to, and it honestly is. It's cracking under the pressure of it, and we are choosing lower and lower quality, cheaper choices to get the product out there. And that does have an impact on health. And that's not specific to gluten, although gluten can definitely fall into this category of just like the lower quality products, especially in America, in the United States. Like this is a general problem. The processed and ultra processed food industry is a big reason why there is chronic health conditions out there. And unfortunately, it's a hard thing to fight because we need food. It's not like cigarettes. It's not like tobacco where you can say, we don't need cigarettes, so we got to fight this because it's harming our health.
Yeah.
We need food. And so it's not an easy thing to kind of tackle. And so I'll just kind of respond to that and I'll get into the gluten of it all. So gluten's a complicated one. Gluten is a protein. It's a protein. It's a wheat protein. It's like kind of natural in its form. It's not like an unnatural thing that exists in food. It's what happens when you process wheat. And people who are celiac or those who have like a gluten intolerance or gluten sensitivity, will not be able to tolerate any sort of gluten intake. It will mess with their intestine lining and will affect their ability to absorb nutrients. One of the key nutrients that gets affected by intake of gluten when you can't tolerate gluten is iron. Many times they'll have very low iron, and you'll try to give supplements to somebody, and they still won't be able to increase their iron absorption, and that's probably like a key giveaway that somebody isn't tolerating gluten well. With that being said, it kind of became very, very trendy to cut gluten out. And in that process of cutting gluten out, which there's no problem with saying I'm sensitive to gluten and I shouldn't be intaking it and it doesn't feel good and I can feel the effects of it, the inflammation and all that. There's really nothing wrong with saying that if that's how you feel and that's what's going on with you clinically, medically. It's when the problem becomes what you replace it with. How do you go about eliminating gluten from your diet? What are you doing? And that's where I think people get tripped up. Because it's really easy to fall into the trap of just buying all the gluten-free products, which just substitute something else that could be harmful to you, and not being able to read the label properly, or just completely cutting out all these grains, this fiber from your diet, as well as nutrient-rich grains from your diet completely, that can then just leave a gaping hole in your nutrition. And so, to me, it's not really the issue of saying oh, should I have gluten or not? Again, if it doesn't sit right with you, if you don't feel like it's serving your health and it's something that you're like, I don't really feel like I want it in my diet, and I understand that, then I say just make sure you are being thoughtful and mindful about how you are going about eliminating it so that you're not harming yourself further. I think that is, again, the balance of nature in all of nutrition. And this, I think, is just a running theme for me personally in my work is coming at it from an angle of what can I have versus what can't I have? Because when we go about it with what can't I have, we end up in this space where we're just either missing something or we're going to harm ourselves in the process of eliminating something. So, yeah.
Yes. I feel like over the last 20 years, even the alternatives for gluten are so much better. I remember stuff used to taste like cardboard, and now it actually tastes good. And there are so many other alternatives. So when you see me looking down, I'm taking notes because I'm like,
Yeah.
if I don't write it down, I'm going to totally forget about it.
Okay.
So I'm going to say this wrong. It's a type Eichhorn flour. it's low
high.
GI,
Yeah.
but it's I started using it. It's low GI and it's
Hmm.
tolerable for people that have the gluten sensitivity, the intolerance.
Hmm.
Do you know much about that type of flour, or what other suggestions, alternatives do you suggest?
Yeah, I don't know anything specifically about that type of flour. I don't think I've heard of it. But generally speaking, first of all, you're correct. There's a lot of great stuff on the market now that is naturally gluten free. I just did a whole thing on sorghum, which is like another grain that's naturally gluten free, and it can be used in so many different ways, including as a flour. It can be used as like just like a grain on the plate. It can also be popped into popcorn, which is really cool. It can be made into syrup. There's a lot of great gluten-free grains naturally out there, quinoa, rice. So like nobody should ever feel like there is an option. And I think just that point in general, again, coming from this space of what can I have, right? Because there's such a long list of things you can have. I think also
Right.
people who are worried about having to cut gluten out of their diet get really fearful because like, oh, well, I can't have wheat, barley, or rye, right? And that means I can't have bread and I can't have my favorite pasta. And I'm like, I don't know if you know this, but lentil pasta on the market right now is phenomenal. Chickpea pasta, like there's so many cool
Yes.
pastas on the market that sometimes taste even better than like I don't actively try to cut gluten out of my diet and I eat a lentil pasta over a wheat pasta.
Right.
So like to make the point that like you're right, there's so many great options on the market that are naturally gluten free. It's not like one of those things like where they had to work really hard to make it work. And do taste really good. And so just kind of coming from the space of what can I have? So,
Yes. When I've worked with clients in the past, it's been so many years since I've done nutritional counseling, but I loved talking to people because, like, like you just said, they focus on everything that they can't have and it becomes an obsession. Well,
mhm.
that's going to lead to failure because it's like they're just obsessing over it so much versus look at all the other stuff I can have.
Yep.
There's substitutions for pretty much everything out there. Something you can't have, there's a substitution for. And over the
Hmm.
years, it's gotten way better.
Yep.
It's
Yep.
gotten
You said
amazing.
it. You said it. Yep.
Yeah. Um, what I totally just lost my question that I was going to ask you.
Okay.
So outside of the weight loss medications, the the gluten-free lifestyle now, what was another hot topic that we wanted to talk about that you're
Yeah.
seeing or getting asked more about?
Yeah. I think two that come to mind for me, and I'll kind of add a third in with an asterisk. The first one is protein. I think that protein right now is really having a moment, and it's so funny to me because it's like an extension of keto having a moment. Like that's how I see it. And I know that Khloe Kardashian just came out with this like popcorn line, like protein popcorn, and I know, and I
Okay. Okay.
and I always just think I'm like it's so funny because protein is one of those things that's really not hard to get it.
No.
It's really easy to get it actually because especially if you're not a vegetarian or a vegan, like it's really not difficult to intake protein, but we've put it on such a pedestal to make it feel like it is almost impossible when it's one of our macronutrients and you would know if you weren't getting enough of it.
Mhm.
With that being said, high protein is really having a moment, I think, because people are discovering that, well, first of all, the GLP-1 medications are putting people in a mindset of like, well, how do I nourish myself in this like diminished amount of time that I have an appetite for? And so they're really being pushed into a place of make sure that you're eating your proteins and make sure that you're eating your fiber, because that's where you're going to get a lot of your nutrition from. And if you're not that hungry all the time, you're going to want to make sure that you're getting your nutrition in this like kind of condensed space. And so it kind of really ties in well to that. But, people are discovering that when you're on a quote unquote weight loss journey, including making sure that you're focusing on your plate of protein and fiber on your plate, is really going to help you kind of, set you up for success. It's going to make you feel fuller longer. So you're not going to have these like, big gaps of being really hungry. It's going to really give you your nutrition. People are discovering that protein, in its essence will, it's a higher digestive it costs a lot of energy to digest it. And so you're also burning energy when you're digesting it. So all of these things I think are giving protein kind of this like moment to shine. To which I say to my patients, it never wasn't a moment to shine. It's always been important. It's one of our macronutrients. Nobody's denying the like importance of eating protein. If anything, I would just encourage you to be mindful of your protein sources. Be smart. Choose high quality protein sources. Choose protein sources that are going to give you what you need. Be mindful of how much you need. Know how much you need. Don't just like say like, I'm not eating enough protein. Actually crunch the numbers, so to speak. Is that actually true? And just kind of get into that space, but remember that it doesn't stand alone. We're not just eating protein. I think people have a tendency to be like, I ate a piece of chicken, so I'm good. And I'm like, where were your fruits and vegetables? Where was your fiber? Where was your whole grains, starchy vegetables, whatever it is? Like, where are your fat sources? Just making sure that you are intaking all these balanced, you want the whole balance, because at the end of the day, our body needs everything. It needs all of the nutrition, and it will function better when it's getting everything that it requires.
Right. So when you were talking about protein and people not getting enough, I've read, a pound or a gram of protein per pound of body weight, a gram of protein per desired target body weight, or 3/4 of a gram per pound of body weight. What do you suggest? Like, I know that everybody's body is going to be unique, but is there a ratio that you typically stand by?
Yeah. So I say for just any common adult, not an athlete, not someone who's, very, very obese, like just, just regular, nothing, no extenuating circumstances to the person. 1 gram to 1.2 grams per kilogram is what works for adults. After that, then it becomes a case-by-case basis. If you're pregnant, if you're breastfeeding, if you are, trying to lose weight, if you are, right, then it starts to get into the conversation. If you are elderly, if you are, or if you're an athlete, if you're trying to gain muscle at the gym, right, then we start to get into, okay, how much more protein are we adding? And is it realistic to add it? You have to remember, and I think people really get caught up in the numbers of it, of like, well, I want to have 2 grams of protein per kilogram body weight because I want to gain muscle in the gym. I'm like, can you eat that much protein in a day? That's a lot of protein. Are you sure that's okay? I have a protein powder. Okay, but I don't want you to just, shove supplements down your throat just for the sake of doing it, And so it really starts to become a conversation by a case-by-case basis. Hopefully that answer.
So I just wrote down creatine. Are you a fan of creatine? Do you feel like women over a certain age should be implementing that into their lifestyle?
I don't do like sports nutrition, athletics, or anything like that. So I don't really get too close to these types of conversations. Every once and again, one of my male patients might ask me about it. I don't like push it or anything like that. I don't have enough evidence to like make it part of a regimen for anybody. But with strong evidence behind it, if the case called for it, sure. I mean, again, that would be a case by case basis situation. So, yeah.
Okay. Let's see, when you're working with a patient, and they're like, I have a lot of inflammation. I feel super tired all the time. I have this event coming up. Like, I need to get going on losing weight, but I can't lose weight no matter what I do. I've worked out, I've done this, I've done that. Nothing seems to work. Where do you guide them from there?
First and foremost, I want to know what's going on metabolically. I'm going to send them to a doctor. I'm going to have them get a metabolic panel, get some blood work done. I want to see what's going on inside. I'm going to send them to, whatever biochemical, whatever anthropometrics we can gather. That's where I'm going to start. I want to understand what's going on. From there, then we're going to deep dive into their lifestyle. I would imagine that a case like that is probably related to stress. If you're telling me that they're tired all the time and they're experiencing inflammation and they have a big event coming up, the thing that goes off my brain is, how stressed are you on a scale from 1 to 10, and how much are you sleeping? And so I really want to get into the nitty gritty of their lifestyle. And that case is actually probably a really, really common one that I hear. And oftentimes when I get to the point where I ask them about stress, they go, and I go 1 to 10, and they go an 8 on a good day. And I go, fair, very, very, very fair. We are living in a world where stress definitely makes sense. And I have a conversation with them about how they're managing their stress. And then obviously we get into the nutrition of it all, what they can be doing differently, more, better, depending on what it is. Sometimes, honestly, just seeing a dietitian and working with someone and the stress of nutrition off their mind does make a huge difference. Knowing that they're working on it calms them. Knowing that there's a professional guiding them and supporting them already is a step in the right direction. And so it's not necessarily this big overhaul of your entire life, which, by the way, almost never happens. I think rarely do I ever say to someone, we need to overhaul your entire life. It doesn't even make sense. But there's definitely this conversation of like, how are you taking care of yourself? How are you taking care of yourself? What are you doing? After 9 to 5, what are you doing to take care of yourself to help, relax your body and give your body a chance to do what it wants to do?
Yeah, I think we are just in the hustle mode every day. It's just like go, go, go. If we don't keep ourselves busy with, the next big thing, it's like, oh, we're lazy. Or
Yes.
I need to feel productive, so I need to be that go, go, go type person.
Yeah.
But talking about like women that are coming into menopause or I'm sorry, perimenopause, and then that transition period. So I'll be 47 this year, and I'm in that stage, and I've noticed the body is reacting a lot differently than what it used to. It's kind of a guessing game for me, but I am working with a functional doctor now to help correct things. But stress plays a big part in what your body's hanging on to. Sleep also is a huge pillar, what you just talked about. Getting quality sleep, not going to bed at 1 or 2 a.m. and sleeping for 8 to 9 hours. That's not quality. But getting to bed at a reasonable hour and allowing your body to really rest and then digest. So what suggestions do you have for women that are maybe coming into their 40s or mid 40s in that transition period? So let's talk about the protein. Let's talk about the fiber, because that is so big. That is huge. Supplementing with fiber or strictly just getting it from fruits and veggies. What are your thoughts?
So, I mean, you said everything correctly. I'm looking at the whole lifestyle. I'm looking at all of it. You're right. Protein, super important. I think it's important to remember that the hormonal makeup is changing. And with the hormonal makeup changing, it doesn't mean that you have to change drastically, but it does require like you to have a lot of self-compassion and understand that what's going on is your estrogen is depleting. And that is, we as women, don't even realize it, but since puberty, we have been running on our estrogen. Our estrogen is essential. It's like, essentially, remember, you're basically feeling like you're in your luteal phase of your cycle all the time, where your estrogen is really low. And so I think this is something that like women going through menopause and starting to go through menopause really need to remember is like, it feels some type of way. And we can do a lot to help our body adjust to this like kind of new hormonal makeup that it's going through. You said it with diet, protein and fiber and fat. Those 3 need to be on your plate every single time. Sleep, super important. And you might say to me, okay, but I'm having night sweats or I'm having some insomnia, right? And that starts creeping in. And I'm like, yeah, which makes it even more important to do everything you can to really focus on it, no matter what that means. And that can mean 1,000 different things. And I talk to my patients a lot about, there's a lot of cool stuff on the sleep market right now. And I'm not somebody who like hawks like, all these like different, gadgets and whatever, but like weighted blankets and eye masks and ear plugs and sound machines and cooling pillows and all this cool pajamas and sheets and whatever. There's so many great sleep stuff on the market. And if something speaks to you that's going to help you sleep, don't be shy to purchase it. It's totally worth it. managing your stress, whether that means, on the day to day, learning how to meditate and deep breathe and journal and all of these like minute to minute small things that you can be doing to help manage your stress, as well as the macro management of stress. And I talk about this a lot, there's everything from, traditional talk therapy, working with a therapist. And then there's also a lot of cool coaching out on the market now. I pair with a health coach. We do some work together, and she works with new moms, postpartum. And she does a lot of the emotional mental health piece, and it's coming from more of a coaching, less from a therapeutic. And so you get kind of a different flavor of help. And so all of these things are really important and great strategies to work with, and really do make a difference in the perimenopause space.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
So we're almost out of time. How can my audience find you? So I will link all of your information, your links in the show notes. But give us where we can find you online, and then you do virtual work. So it's now, are you working one-on-one, or do you offer group coaching or programs?
Mm-hmm. So right now everything is one-on-one. And everything is virtual. You can find me on Instagram at Dining with Nature, or you can find me online, diningwithnature.com. I work with women, fertility through family life, and that really ranges through all the life stages. So everything from, I'm ready to have a baby, or I'm thinking about maybe in the future I want to have a baby, all the way to I'm the mother of 18-year-olds are no longer in my house, and here I am. So all the way through the whole life stage. And we work all virtually. Right now, one-on-one. Hopefully in the next year or so, we're going to be opening up group coaches and online courses. So you can, if you want to stay tuned with Dining with Nature and make sure you're up to date on everything that's going on with the practice, you should sign up for our newsletter, which you can do very easily on our website. And that way you'll always stay up to date and know when our groups are opening and our online courses are opening, but they're coming, I promise.
Awesome. I'm excited to follow your journey and learn more from you.
Thank you. It was
amazing.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Courtney.
Yeah. This conversation was really great. I'm going to keep an eye on the Facebook page, see if we have any questions that come in. I will be tagging you once this episode airs on Spotify and iHeartRadio and Apple. And then hopefully we can, in those comments, get those questions answered, or I'll just keep a running list and bring you back. And then we can
I love that.
answer them during another conversation. This was really great. So informative.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. And these are great topics. I love talking about all of them. So yes, please send me all the questions, all of it. Would love to hear from everyone. Yeah,
absolutely. And with so much noise out there in social media, it's nice to have an expert that puts it all down, breaks it all down.
I agree.
All right. Aderet, enjoy your time over in Israel. It was so nice to talk to you, and I really appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. We'll chat again soon. Bye.
Oh my gosh, that was so good, right? I hope you're walking away feeling inspired, fired up, and ready to take action. Listen, if anything in this episode resonated with you, if you had an aha moment or even just a little heart nudge, please do me a favor and share this episode. Send it to a friend, post it on your social media, and also tag me at I am Courtney Spaeth. And that way I can cheer you on. If you love hanging out here, please make sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And also, it would mean the world to me if you left a quick review. That way, your reviews help more amazing people like you find this podcast and step into the life that they are meant for. So before I wrap up, I want to leave you with these 3 things. You are worthy of success, love, and abundance. Every step that you take brings you closer to your dreams, and you are exactly where you need to be, and you are enough just as you are. I appreciate you so much. Thanks for being here. And until next time, keep chasing those big, beautiful dreams.